So today we're going to be covering the news resource models in the database. So let's start with the news resource entity. It's inside of the core, and then this database, and then you click Java, and you click the models, and then you see news resource entity, and so on and so forth. As we can see here, it has at entity. This is a Kotlin feature where you at the table name. That's like the thing for the database for it to store. We can see that the data class news resource entity has a primary key. This is like how we get the news resource. Like that's the basically the key. It has values, ID string, title, content, URL. It has the header image URL, publish date, type. And it has another function inside of here, the news resource entity dot as external model. As you can see, it also basically has everything the news resource entity has, but instead it has topics equals list of. If we hover over the list of, we can see that there's an empty read-only list. The returned list is serializable. So basically what it is, it's a list of news resource entities that have like related topics. So if you remember like the Kotlin topic, for example, in the Now and Android app, that would be in here. Moving on, let's look at the topic entity. You can see here that it's rather similar to the news resource entity. It has its ID, name, has a short description with a news resource didn't have. It has a long description, URL, image URL. These are basically just like the topics, like the individual topics. It has like a short description of like, oh, this is like an Google Apple, like Google Apple. It's like a new phone is coming out. What are the features? Like short description, maybe it gives you a short description on that. Meanwhile, the long description goes more in depth. And here we have a URL. The URL is like the URL you get from the remote server to like direct you to the web page or the YouTube video or whatever that is like being displayed here. And as you can see, as external model, it's the same thing as in the news resource, and it pretty much just does the same. But as you can see, there's no list of. Oh, where is it? And the reason for that is because there's gonna be maybe hundreds, thousands, like undetermined amount of news resource entities, and we didn't need a list to store that because the list can grow and shrink. Meanwhile, the topic entities, we know how many topics there are going to be. There's only like, I think 20-ish topics that actually exist, so we don't need a list to store it because like we know how many topics there's going to be. And here you can see under the news resource entity, we have a news resource FTS entity. What FTS means is full text search. It's basically when you click on the search bar in the app and you type in maybe Kotlin, for example. It's going to search through the database to see news resources that contain the word Kotlin and returns it. So here we can see that val news resource ID string, the title, and the content. So it's going to basically search through the news resource ID, the title, and the content. And yeah, as you can see here, the topic FTS entities are pretty much the same as the news resource FTS entity. It's going to search through the topic IDs, the names, the short description, long descriptions, and yeah, and as is here, you can see function topic entity as FTS entity equals topic FTS entity. And in there, it's going to return a topic FTS entity with topic ID, name, short description, and long description. So basically, if you search it up, it's going to return you topics relating to. It's going to give you topics with the ID, name, short description, long description that include the word or like the letters you have searched. So